So, in this update, most of the changes we're going to do is depend on the AK, and we're going to pretty much optimize it and optimize the whole system in turn. Okay, so visually the only changes you will be able to see is that it looks a little bit smoother and it's also way faster. And now basically the thing we're going to do is also optimize the points. So for each point, if you remember, we had different game objects for the hands, for the legs, for the AK, for the hands and the legs. Okay, all that are going to go, and we're going to set it up like only having one simple empty game object for each point. Okay, as you can imagine, this cuts the game objects we had down to the minimum, okay, the bare minimum. Now we're going to see also a few other changes, and what I wanted to also, basically I've set a new system to how you can create your own to basically save the IK positions, and we're also going to save hip positions and all that in a little bit of a different way. Now I purposely left the hip position while hugging like this, so I can fix it, on camera, and so you will see how you can debug cases like this. Okay, the underlying logic is exactly the same as far as the climb system is concerned, only the IK and this turn the other way. Okay, and only the IK stuff will change. Now let's go of creating a new scene just to have everything that has to setting up the points. Okay, just to have it separate. Now here's what we got over here. Okay, we have our boxman. This is purely for visual stuff, it doesn't do anything, and the IK and all that, it's not enabled. We can write a script that will enable this inside in the editor, but there's no need, I believe. So the old point prefab was like this, a little bit more organized, but you can see that it had all these game objects. The new prefab is going to be as simple as creating an empty and simply dropping a point, okay, and selecting if you want it braced or hanging. Everything else, I've cleaned it up, I've cleaned up the scripts and deleted everything we didn't need. Now what's this over here? We have a new script and a new utility which we're going to see today, which has basically game objects, and those game objects are basically indicators for hips braced, the hips while hanging, which is what we're going to fix today. Okay, and also left hand, that also has the IK hint for the left hand, right hand, left foot, left knee, right foot, right knee, and the corresponding transforms for right hand, left hand, and all that. The only thing that I want you to keep in mind is that this should only be parented under one game object, and in this case let's just reuse one of the points we had before. Okay, and they must not be parented under another game object inside the game object unless that game object is at the same position as this, otherwise you might have problems. Okay, because we're going to save local positions, and we're actually going to save we're going to use this game objects, and we're going to save a few stuff we need to know. So for instance, for the left hand we need to know the IK position, the IK rotation, the hint position, and you can go with actually the IK rotation, you don't even need it, to tell you the truth, because for the hands we change this to aim towards the shoulders, and for the fit you can just put transform rotation as I did, so IK rotation is not even needed. But of course we need IK position and the hint position, and of course which goal is and which hint is. And you can also tick if it has hint or not, although this ticks automatically from inside your script. So let's see a little bit, let's see the scripts actually. Okay, this is where we're going to save, and it has the list IK position is an org class which we're going to reuse, and we have made it inside the point script. Okay, previously we had a transform for target and a transform for hint target, okay, or something like that. Now we're going to set this up like this. So we need to know the IK goal this IK position is for, the IK position, the IK rotation, although you can delete it, and I'm probably going to, the hint position, oops, IK hint, and has hint. Now you actually do not even need the hint, because we have another function that finds it, but this just speeds up things a little bit faster. Okay, what is to save another integer? It's exactly the same. So this is the IK position. Let's go back again into point stats. Heap position is a new class which only has the point type and the local position for the heaps position. So in this case it's heaps braced, as you can see over here, and heaps hanging, which is what we are going to fix in a bit. Okay, so what we have is two lists, and when we want to get either an IK position or a heap position, we simply do this, okay, for loop, and look and compare, and we shall add a break over here. We look this and we find the entry that has the goal, the same goal we want, then we return that. Same with the heaps. If we find a heaps position that has the same point type, okay, we only have two anyways, so it's going to return that. Okay, pretty simple. Point setup utility. This is the utility that basically saves you this stuff. You need to set the transforms. Okay, that's the hard part, but it's not even really the hard part. Especially if you have the project, then it's already ready. Okay, this executes in edit mode, and since it executes in edit mode, we only want it inside the editor, so we have an if unity editor, and we have unit engine, okay, lists, and are climbing. Let's see, I think this is a class just for this class, and this is another class just for this class. Okay, so basically it has an IK target, a target kit, and IK hint, and the heaps position has the type and heaps position. So these are the transforms which we're going to break their properties apart and store them. So since this executes in edit mode, we need some way to say that, save that point. So this is a poor man's button. So we save point and create point. Okay, we create a new game object, we add a component of point stats, we get the component of point stats, let's rename it also, and we actually store the heaps position. So for each heap position utility we have, if there's no target assigned, then skip it. If there is a target, then create a new heaps position. Notice that it's a heaps position, not a heaps position utility. And we change the heaps position to be the local position. The important thing is the local position of the heaps position of the transform we have assigned inside the heaps position utility. The type will also be the type we have assigned, and finally we simply add it into the point stats, into the point stats list. Store IK positions. Okay, for every helper IK we have inside our list, if there is no target, we skip it. Otherwise, we create a new IK position. We get and store the local position. For the rotation, I was trying to get directions, all that. In the end, yeah, let's delete it. In the end, transform applying the rotation for the feet the same as the transform actually work just fine. So I'm going to delete it completely, so we do not have to look at it. Let's see if we have any errors. And the last error is this, and since this is also, we'll fix this in a bit. Okay, since this is also there's no need for this anymore for an array. Yeah. Okay, position will be the local position. Okay, will be the okay we have set in the inspector. If we have assigned a target hint, then we also have a hint, and then yeah, we tick that we have a hint. Hint position will be target hint, the local position basically of your target hint, and the hint goal will be what we have assigned in the inspector. And finally, we simply add this also into the OK positions of our OK. We throw a debug log just so that you do not forget to apply it, and we're pretty much ready. So this is how we actually save these positions. So in our case now, okay, this one was the problematic one. So what I can see, and basically I'm going to eyeball it at this point. I don't want new clip. I want the hanging something. Okay, hanging like this. So if I place it, this guy somewhere over here, so we only, eyeball the hands so that they are the position. We only care about the Y anyway. So this should be a little bit down, and maybe it's way too much to the front. Let's bring it a little bit inwards, something like this. Okay, so I placed everything where I wanted to. So what I'm going to do is go to the point setup, hit save point setup. You're going to see it's a new point stats created. Now I need to make this into a prefab, so I'm going to go into climbing resources, and I already have a prefab, and since I've assigned this prefab on my character, on the actual controller, if I replace this and hit replace anyway, then it's going to overwrite it and update the references. So we're ready from here, and we're now ready to also go again into our previous level. To set them up inside your climb by K script, we're going to add the references for point stats, and we're going to place that prefab. You only have to do this once, okay, underneath your character controller, and simply drag and drop the point stats. Alternative, you can get the prefab and instantiate it and assign it on start. Okay, it's the same thing. Now we need to do quite a bit of changes inside the script. So we have local positions for each OK position. So the problem now is that we cannot use the local positions. We have to turn them into world positions, and world positions relative to a target point. So we're going to create a few functions over here that are going to help us with that. The first one will be get heap position, which we want the actual world position. So what we're going to do is first find the local position, which is this. Point D is on the top. If we go is, I named it point D for point defaults. Okay, it's basically the point stats we assign. Let's go back again. We were over here. Okay, we have the point type, we have the local position. The only thing left is to turn it into world position relative to the point we are passing. So we're going to use the point transform and then transform point heap which is going to turn from local to world position. Okay, and you return that, and there you have your heaps position. Similar again with this is directly for the heaps because we're going to need the heaps way more. Okay, we use this to get IK positions again relative to the world, world positions relative to the target point. So for example, what I mean by relative to the target point, let me open up a new software. So basically what we did, okay, let's say we have a point and we've stored some positions for the hand and the feet, for the two hands basically, and we say that this position is at coordinates 1 1. Okay, so what does that mean? That on local position is at 1 1, then that means the position relative, the world position relative to this point will be this point's position, world position, plus 1 1, and we get this position. Okay, simple enough. So if I want to get this point's right hand position, then all I have to go is add over here 1 1. Okay, pretty straightforward. I don't think you have any problems with that. But we don't have to add it, since Unity already has the transfer point from that turns from local point to world, and the plus of this is that it also handles the rotation, so we do not also have to worry about rotating the vector. Okay, fair enough. Direction to world point does exactly the same as it sounds, and we're going to delete it. Now create IK positions, because we had both position and rotation as a vector trace. I said why not make it an array, but we actually do not need an array, so since we deleted the rotation, oops, 0. Okay, so whenever we want to get an IK position, now we're going to use this function create IK position, which you need to pass the target point, so you know which point you want the IK position. Although it says create, it doesn't actually create a new position, it just pretty much calculates the IK position. Okay, target point and the goal. So we start with 0 in vector, of course, and we need to find the IK position, what we have saved inside our defaults. Okay, point D, get IK position, and we pass our IK goal. So for it's going to return you the right or left hand or feet. Okay, then we turn that into world position. We're passing the target point and the IK position, of course, and we have the new IK position. So now you have to go and change where we actually call everything like this. Okay, and of course you will see where I have to change it, because I had it as an array, and now I'm going to turn everything back. But let me delete it. So okay, this was before for its IK goal. We do not need this anymore. We're going to turn everything to like this. We're going to find left hand position, or yeah, it's the same thing as you can see. Let's do it this way, so it's a little bit cleaner. Okay, you see all these lines just encapsulated into 4 lines. Okay, very simple. The one area you have to do this is on update all target positions. The other area we have to do, or function, is in this one. So we're going to do the same thing. Get this, add it over here, delete this one, And the good thing with this is because we have updated this, because the way we have our script, that the climb by k goes from, and yeah, I wanted this. The climb by k doesn't have to do anything with, or basically we just set commands on the script and say place the right hand on that point, and everything else is handled inside the script, is that we do not have to change a lot of stuff. Okay, as you can see, I'm simply copy pasting at this point, not even writing new code. Okay, one area is this, return current point position, so you get your vector 3, and the other way, of course, the other, return a k position on target point. Okay, so we use this, the same thing again. Let me delete this. Let me move this. Okay, and that's it. So basically that is where you need to do the changes. Let me see my bookmarks, because we have a few other stuff. And yeah, inside update AK we're going to change things a little bit. Previously, whenever we want to update an IK goal, we need to pass the IK goal, of course. We're still going to pass the holder, even though now we only have different stuff on the holder. The helper, again, the weight, and we're now, instead of passing the hint, we're going to pass the target point. Okay, so we're going to pass the target point because we now have, let me see this, it's, I've lost it too. Okay, back over here where we have if our holder has enabled the hint, we'll need, if we have enabled a hint, we know already which hint is it because we have set it up inside the holder. So we simply need to go and set IK hint position weight. We find the weight, and we only need to find the hint position. So we turn this into wall position, okay, relative to our own, to the target point we are passing, and the hit position we have saved, and we simply place it like that. Similarly, okay, this handles rotation for left hand and right hand. This handles rotation for the feet, simply hard coded to get the transform rotation. I think looks fine. Looks exactly what we want. And because we've changed this, we also need to go and change it over here. Not over here, or inside this function. Okay, we need to change a few stuff inside the onAnimator AK. So we can keep if we have a left hand point still, and we can say that the left hand holder, instead of getting it from the IK, from the actual point, we now get it from the point defaults. So we have point defaults, get IK position for the left hand. We're going to lerp the left hand from the left hand helper to the left hand target position, and so on. And we're going to pass the update IK left hand holder, left hand helper. Okay, similar to the right hand. This is exactly what we have done before. We have our IK position, we lerp the helper, and we update the IK, and so on. For the feet, again, we're going to do the same thing we're doing. We're going to actually fix the Y if it's higher than the hips position. Okay, again, instead of getting the IK positions from the point, which do not exist anymore, I've cleaned this up. We get it from our point defaults. and similar with the right foot. Now we need to go and change where we set up the left hand target position. Okay, so yeah, we've seen this already. Whenever we want to update either all the target positions or just one, we simply change this to be we get the IK, we say create IK position from the target point we are passing for the left hand. Okay, and this goes and finds you the relative positions for that point for the goal you are passing. Okay, this is very simple. It's so simple that I should have thought of this earlier instead of doing this the other way we had it. Okay, this is far more less complex, I believe, but yeah, as we said, there's always bound to be more easier ways. After you have done the bulk of the work, it's easy to optimize it. Now, okay, we have everything inside climb IK, and since we also store the hips position, we need to go and change the stuff inside the climb behavior. For example, we'll see this in a bit. This has to do with the dismount. But for example, what you need to do right now is go on target. Let me find one, and I'll tell you. It's actually a lot what you have to do. First of all, you have to go and hit Ctrl F and find everywhere we had parent, not transform.parent, and you need to remove it whenever we had on a current point. We usually, especially when we were comparing distances, okay, we had it before that we were taking the parent of each point because we were also moving every points. Okay, now you have to search all the script and remove where we had compares that we were taking the parent, so it's pretty much everywhere. So just search with .parent and you should only have only these two. Okay, one that sets your character to be underneath the point and one that, you know, makes it null. This is the one thing. The other thing you need to do is wherever we have target position, so find all the references. We had some places that we were assigning the target position, and we were assigning it by closest point .transform.position. What you have to do now is, instead of doing that, you need to do ik.get hit position, because that's where we have the function, and pass the closest point. So the get hit position is basically going to, as we've seen already, it finds you based on the point type, the hip position we have saved inside our defaults, and returns you the wall position relative to that point for your hips. So that means everywhere we had target position, you need to assign it over here. Okay, so search all your script. Notice that we only have to where we assign the target position, except the one where we assign the desired position inside the update connection transition by type. Okay, over here we actually need to assign this on the desired position. So for example, desired position, okay, we had current point plus transfer position plus the direction and all that. Now we're going to do it this way. Notice that if I'm doing checks for distance, I do not have to use the get hip position. We can simply just use just see, and you should just compare distances with point from point instead of from hip point to point. Okay, you need to do this almost everywhere, but not almost everywhere, so just see where you have to assign and override the desired position that takes into account the heap's position. And one example for this is, okay, on this mount, the desired position we want is actually the same one we had before. It's actually the target point, since this is a special case. Okay, but for jump back on manager, hanging jump forward again, okay, hanging turn around, get heap position, and all that. Okay, let's see why I have some bookmarks. Yeah, the other stuff that has to do with the AK, you need to come over here inside client behavior on the update AK target. Excuse me for that. So on update AK target, we're passing the index, okay, the AK goal. The only important thing is change from this AK target position. What we have from a target point, again, we were getting the AK positions from our points. We now get them, we calculate the AK positions based on the AKs, and we also need to see these two functions, I believe. Yeah, and we will see them. Let me delete this, and let's see these two functions. These are inside the client AK. Return current point position. What it does is it calculates, yeah, we're actually seeing them. Okay, it calculates the IK position, but on the point each one is. So left foot we'll see what point is assigned on the left foot, and it's going to calculate the position there. For right foot the same, left hand, right hand the same. Okay, and it returns you that position as a vector 3, and it will assign it on the IK start position. IK target position will do exactly the same, but this time we can pass the target point. So basically, yeah, you can use this one and pass the target point you want as your current point. Anyway, you can do it however way you like. Okay, so instead of getting the create AK position, instead of getting the point for each one, it passes the point for the target point we want. Okay, simple, very simple. I don't think you're going to have any problem with this, since it's mostly copy paste. The bulk of the work is just to change the stuff around. Let's see the other bookmarks I have. Yeah, another point where you have to change to get IK heap position is inside your return corner direction, where you were moving through corners. Okay, we were calculating the middle point for a corner, so now we're going to calculate the middle point from the heap's position instead of the actual point position. So current point, target point. Oops. And on the dismount, the final stuff we need to see on the dismount, there was a bug somewhere over here, basically, where the bug was over here. So we were adding the previous point, and we were adding and adding and adding, because the dismount point is created on start. Okay, and everything we add on that will just mount up. So we do not want that. So we simply only place it on the hit point plus 0.04, so the offset we previously had. There was a few more stuff over here, just delete those. And finally, I just added a 0.5 on the transform.forward, so we also go a little bit forward. So that's basically it. Okay, we made this system even more and more polished. Now on the next part, we're going to focus on optimizing and basically setting up everything that has to do with priorities. For example, because I've noticed there's a few bugs, and I'm going to show you the exact bug actually. So if I'm here, sometimes he might jump into, if there was climb points underneath over here that you see, okay, where I'm seeing, sometimes he might have gone over there. Okay, we're going to set up we're going to set up points, and I'm also going to set this up so it's easier if you want to add another controller underneath it, then it's easier to do so. Okay, and everything else should work the same. Let's try the hips, the hanging from the hips. Of course, we need to climb up there. Okay, yeah, it needs to go a little bit lower, since we didn't take into account the arcade positions, but you get the idea. Okay, really simple. And that was the other way you should have gone, but anyway. So that's it. We can fix that little problem if we move this one. If we move this one closer, it should fix. If it doesn't fix, then I guess we have more stuff to do for next time. Now, of course, we will have to. And this also, I think I forgot to make them double-sided. Yeah, forgot to set them up as double-sided. Anyway, okay, we're done for the day. You know what to do: like, subscribe, and if you like to see all the stuff continue, then consider supporting me either on Patreon or on Gumroad, and I'll see you next time.